to speed up in the car. Roll! Oh, Jesus!
This what y'all...
The night was supposed to be ordinary, until the screams started. A phone went live on Facebook, capturing a moment that would end in blood. It began as a simple argument, something petty, something that could have ended with words. But in a matter of seconds, the sound of laughter turned into terror, and the flashing lights of a cell phone became the witness to a murder. In the late hours of August 20th, 2024, the streets of East Birmingham echoed with gunfire as chaos unfolded at the Monarch Ridge Apartments. A young mother, just 21 years old, would lose her life in front of hundreds watching live, powerless to stop it. Viewers watched in disbelief as the argument spiraled into a storm of rage, bullets, and panic. The broadcast spread across social media within minutes, shared, commented on, replayed, while somewhere, a life slipped away. Police scanners lit up. Sirens screamed through the city. What began as a fight became a full-blown tragedy, one that would haunt everyone who saw it. A young woman's final moments streamed for the world. This wasn't just another argument. It was the night Asia Poole's story began and ended, live on camera. At exactly 10:03 p.m., the first frantic calls hit the Birmingham Police Dispatch, reports of multiple gunshots tearing through the night air at the Monarch Ridge Apartments. What was once a quiet residential area had turned into a battleground, echoing with screams, chaos, and the relentless crack of gunfire. Officers rushed to the scene, racing through the dark streets as flashing blue lights painted the buildings in streaks of urgency. When they arrived, the sight before them was nothing short of devastation. Shell casings scattered across the pavement, shattered glass glimmering beneath the streetlights, and the lingering smell of gunpowder thick in the air. The parking lot looked like a war zone, cars riddled with bullet holes, windows blown out, and terrified residents peeking from behind curtains. As the officers moved deeper into the scene, their flashlights cut through the darkness until they found her, lying still, lifeless, surrounded by chaos. 21-year-old Asia Poole, her body riddled with bullets, motionless on the cold ground. Nearby, another victim groaned in pain, clutching his leg as he waited for help to arrive. The sound of police radios filled the air as officers called for backup, paramedics, and crime scene units. What they didn't yet know was that this was no ordinary crime. The entire shooting, the shouting, the panic, the final moments, all of it had been captured live on Facebook for the entire world to witness in real time. A tragedy not just seen by those who were there, but replayed over and over online, turning a quiet apartment complex into the center of a digital nightmare. Welcome back to Viral Crime Stories, where we uncover shocking real-life cases that demand to be heard. Each story is told with respect, truth, and a mission to create awareness. Now, let's dive into the heartbreaking story and final moments of Asia Poole. Asia Elise Poole was born on March 18, 2003, in Birmingham, Alabama, a city forever marked by its fight for civil rights and its struggle with modern-day violence. From the beginning, Asia stood out for her bright spirit, the kind of young woman whose smile could disarm a room and whose energy made people gravitate toward her. She was more than just a daughter or a friend. She was a protector, a dreamer, a fighter for the life she wanted to build. Her greatest joy was her 4-year-old daughter Aria, a child who became the heartbeat of her existence and the reason she never gave up, no matter how hard things became. Those who knew Asia say she was the kind of person who found light in the darkest places, who would offer a smile even when she had every reason to cry. Life wasn't easy. She had lost people she loved, including the father of her child, and she was forced to navigate motherhood alone at just 21. Yet through grief and responsibility, she remained resilient, building a world around Arya filled with love, color, and hope. Friends remember her as the one who checked on everyone, who would give the little she had to someone who had less. Her social media was filled with pictures of her daughter, quotes about faith, and dreams of owning a business, of creating something lasting. She talked about wanting to leave Birmingham someday, to raise Arya in a place where she could play outside without hearing sirens or gunshots. But for now, she stayed close to family, working hard, doing everything she could to keep her daughter safe and happy. People described her as a beacon of warmth and strength, someone whose energy lifted everyone around her. Behind that bright smile, however, was a young woman, carrying the weight of a world that often felt too heavy. Asia was trying to rise above the cycle of pain and violence that had claimed so many lives in her city. She wanted better for Arya, a future filled with opportunities, a chance to grow without fear. Every decision she made was for that little girl, every sacrifice a testament to her love. Her life was about to change, but not in the way she dreamed, because in the midst of her kindness, her dreams, and her quiet determination, fate was quietly writing the final chapter of Asia Poole's story. On the warm evening of August 20th, 2024, the quiet air around the Monarch Ridge apartments in East Birmingham was shattered by rising tension and the hum of a crowd gathering. What started as a simple argument began spiraling into something darker. The confrontation between 21-year-old Asia Poole and 19-year-old Janiyah Hendris wasn't new. It had been brewing for weeks, fueled by jealousy, pride, and a shared romantic connection that had turned toxic.
I was trying to speed off in the car. Roll! Oh, Jesus!
Friends say Asia tried to keep her distance, but that night, words became weapons and tempers ran too high to control. The parking lot filled with voices, laughter, and the glow of phone cameras, everyone watching, recording, waiting for something to happen. "This hoe trying to sleep out in the car, bro," someone shouted in the background as the chaos unfolded. Phones went live, music blared faintly, and insults were exchanged. Until the mood shifted. Shouting turned to screaming, the energy changed, and before anyone could process what was happening, the first shot rang out. Then another, then another. Panic erupted. People ducked behind cars, running for cover as flashes from a gun lit the night sky. Within seconds, the sound of laughter was replaced by screams and confusion. In the middle of it all, Asia collapsed, struck multiple times, her body hitting the pavement as the live stream continued to roll. The phone capturing the scene kept broadcasting, showing the chaos, the running feet, and the horror that no one could undo. Thousands would later see it online. A young woman's final moments, broadcast in real time, turning what should have been a night of words into one of irreversible tragedy. The fight, the rivalry, the pain, all of it ended with the deafening echo of gunfire and Asia Elise Poole's bright future fading away under the flashing lights of the very city she called home. When officers from the Birmingham Police Department arrived at the Monarch Ridge Apartments just minutes after the shots were fired, the scene before them was absolute chaos. Flashing lights reflected off shattered glass and bullet-riddled cars as neighbors poured out of their apartments, some crying, others filming, all in disbelief at what had just unfolded. The parking lot looked like a war zone, shell casings scattered across the ground, car alarms blaring, and the faint smell of burnt gunpowder lingering in the humid night air. In the middle of it all lay 21-year-old Asia Poole, motionless, her body riddled with bullets. Nearby, a young man, later identified as 22-year-old De'Arian Rankins, clutched his leg, bleeding heavily but alive. Officers called for backup and emergency medical teams as they tried to secure the area and control the panicked crowd. Dozens of witnesses were screaming, pointing, talking over one another, each with their own version of what had happened. And as police scanned the scene, they noticed something that made the situation even more disturbing. The glow of phone screens still recording, videos already circulating online before the paramedics had even arrived. Asia's own car, a white sedan, was missing from the scene, later discovered abandoned and damaged a few blocks away, having been stolen in the confusion immediately after the shooting.
Thank you, Destiny. Breaking news this morning, Birmingham police investigating a deadly shooting. One woman's dead and another person injured.
Yeah, no suspects are in custody this morning, but Russell Jones is live with the latest from investigators. Russell, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, police are now trying to figure out exactly what happened at the Monarch Ridge Apartments on Gallant Drive. They say it happened around 10 o'clock last night in front of a crowd of people, folks even recording it on their cell phones, and now they're trying to get some help from those people to figure out what happened. Now, they say they arrived around 10 o'clock last night, and they found the victim lying on the ground in the parking lot. A second person was shot and taken to the hospital, but police say it all started with some sort of fight involving multiple people, and then that's when the shooting started. Well, like I'd mentioned, there's some videos now circulating on social media. Those videos show a crowd watching, recording the fight, and police say it's just disappointing that nobody stepped in to break it up.
As a law enforcement officer in the Birmingham Police Department, it is somewhat frustrating that no one is doing anything to alleviate the situation. However, the video surveillance is helpful to aid us in this investigation.
Now, police say that the victim's car was also stolen, but they recovered that, and now they're just in the process of hoping to get that information. So if you know anything, you're asked to call investigators here at the police department, or you can reach out to Crime Stoppers. Reporting live in Birmingham, Russell Jones, WVRC 6 News, on your side.
As the night wore on, detectives from the homicide unit arrived, marking evidence, taking statements, and collecting dozens of shell casings scattered across the asphalt. They quickly realized this was not a random shooting. This was targeted, deliberate, and broadcast live on Facebook for thousands to witness in real time. The video clips spreading online showed every chilling second: the argument, the escalation, the gunfire, and the crowd's shocking reaction, recording, shouting, laughing, instead of intervening. By dawn, Birmingham police issued their first public statement, confirming 1 dead, 1 injured, and multiple suspects under review. News outlets picked up the story, labeling it one of the most disturbing crimes the city had seen in years. Detectives worked through the night, piecing together the events frame by frame, following digital trails, and identifying faces from the viral live stream that had turned a personal dispute into a public execution witnessed across the internet. Detectives spent hours dissecting the Facebook Live footage, frame by frame, each second revealing more than anyone expected. What began as an argument streamed for attention quickly exposed a coordinated attack. The video didn't just capture chaos, it captured planning, intent, and execution. Investigators watched as vehicles arrived one after another, positioning themselves strategically within the narrow parking lot. Witnesses had described confusion, but the footage told a different story. This was organized, deliberate, and cold. Security cameras from nearby buildings aligned perfectly with the Facebook Live timestamps, confirming what detectives feared most. The shooters hadn't just stumbled into violence, they had set a trap. Janiyah Hendricks was clearly seen exiting one vehicle, her brother Justin Hendricks moments behind her, and another figure, later identified as Taylor Mloud, stepping out from a separate car. Together, they had created a triangle of movement, boxing Asia in, ensuring there was nowhere to run once the confrontation began. The sound of the first shot echoed through both the live stream and the surveillance recordings, synchronized to the second, leaving no doubt who fired first. As investigators matched license plates, tracked phone pings, and cross-referenced social media activity, the puzzle began to take shape. Messages recovered from phones hinted at planning earlier in the day, including threats and taunts exchanged online between the women involved. It was no spontaneous act. It was premeditated retaliation disguised as a public showdown. Detectives knew they had the evidence they needed: multiple angles, eyewitnesses, and digital proof linking the suspects directly to the murder. The breakthrough was undeniable, and by the time the sun rose over Birmingham, warrants were already being prepared, turning an online spectacle into the foundation of a homicide case that would shock the entire city. Within days of the shooting, the Birmingham Police Department announced the arrests that would send shockwaves through the community.
This week, Birmingham police have arrested 3 people as they investigate the shooting that killed a 21-year-old mother.
Your reporter James Giles covered the press conference about that at the Monarch Ridge Apartments. He's live and on your side with the latest tonight. James.
Yeah, Steve, Brittany, I asked police what started the fight and the Asia pool, and they did not answer. But they did make it clear that these arrests may not be the last.
The cameras do work and their footage is available, so we were able to access that to help further our investigation. But there again, they were supposed to be feeding into our real-time crime center.
And again, Chief Thurman says they're still investigating and could arrest additional people. Now, if you do have information, come forward. You can even do it anonymously if you call Crime Stoppers.
20-year-old Justin Hendricks and 22-year-old Taylor Mloud were taken into custody, both charged with murder and attempted murder, while 19-year-old Janiyah Hendricks faced charges of first-degree theft for stealing Asia Pool's car moments after the gunfire. At a press conference, Police Chief Scott Thurman confirmed that more arrests could follow as detectives continued analyzing the Facebook Live footage, digital messages, and dozens of witness statements. Investigators revealed that over 168 rounds had been fired during the shootout, bullets tearing through nearby cars and apartments, narrowly missing children and families hiding inside. What had started as a personal dispute had exploded into a public act of violence, leaving an entire neighborhood scarred and a city demanding justice. Only 3 days after the initial arrests, Birmingham police announced another stunning development: the arrest of 17-year-old Aora Woods. Detectives confirmed that ballistic evidence, witness statements, and the Facebook Live footage placed her directly at the scene, seen firing shots during the deadly altercation that claimed Asia Poole's life. The news sent another wave of shock through the community, as many struggled to grasp how someone so young had become involved in such a violent, calculated attack. What began as a feud had now drawn in teenagers, turning social media drama into a deadly ambush that left a mother dead, families shattered, and an entire city questioning how far revenge can truly go. Residents of the Monarch Ridge apartments were left shaken, their peaceful night turned into chaos and fear. Shannon Ross, one of the neighbors, recalled the terrifying sound of nonstop gunfire echoing through the complex as families hid inside their homes, clutching their children and praying for safety. Windows were shattered, walls were pierced by stray bullets, and the echoes of that night still haunted the residents days later. Fear gripped the community, but so did anger and heartbreak. Candlelight vigils soon appeared in the parking lot where Asia Poole lost her life, as friends, neighbors, and family members gathered to mourn and call for justice. The investigation pressed on, detectives working around the clock while the city of Birmingham demanded accountability and an end to the violence that had claimed yet another young mother's life. The days after Asia's death were filled with unbearable pain and silence. Her family was shattered, struggling to comprehend how someone so full of life could be gone so suddenly. Her sister, Autumn Nicole, poured her heart out on social media, posting emotional tributes and promising to raise Asia's 4-year-old daughter, Aria, with the same love and strength her mother had shown. Messages of sympathy flooded in from across Birmingham, with friends and strangers alike offering words of comfort and donations. Autumn temporarily shut down her business to grieve, focusing all her energy on supporting Aria and keeping Asia's memory alive. Their aunt, Michelle P., stepped forward to organize a fundraiser to give Asia the dignified farewell she deserved, and within days, the community responded with overwhelming generosity. At the funeral, tears flowed freely as friends, neighbors, and supporters gathered to honor a life cut short. A young mother remembered for her kindness, her laughter, and her unshakable love for her daughter. The ceremony became a symbol of unity and heartbreak, a reminder of how violence had stolen yet another bright soul, leaving behind a little girl who would grow up hearing stories about the mother who loved her more than anything in the world. Asia's death is more than a headline or another tragic statistic. It is a haunting reminder of how quickly anger and pride can turn deadly when left unchecked. A young mother, full of dreams and determination, lost her life in seconds over a conflict that never should have gone that far. Her story stands as a warning and a plea to pause before reacting, to walk away before violence wins, to protect instead of record. It reminds us that every argument has a choice. Every moment of rage can either destroy or be diffused. Asia's life, though short, carries a powerful message. We must care for one another, speak up for peace, and never let senseless violence silence another bright soul. Asia Poole's legacy lives on through her daughter Aria, and a community still fighting for justice in her name. Her story is a heartbreaking reminder of how precious life truly is and how quickly it can be taken away. Every voice sharing her story helps keep her memory alive and spreads awareness about the dangers of senseless violence. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to support more true crime stories that deserve to be heard, remembered, and never forgotten.